Hello and welcome to Only Frames. On today's video, we revisit our concept game PowerBall. This is a unique game created by all of us guys at Only Frames, giving the challenger an opportunity to try and dethrone the reigning champion. It's an advantage, it is a leg up, and Brad needs a leg up. He measured 6 foot and 1 inch. That is 2 measurements. On the left hand side of the screen, you will see the power cards just come into light now. All those different colours, and as they unfold, I will explain each and every one of them. These are available to Brad to use at any moment that he seems fit. Some of them are quite self-explanatory, but as each and every one unfolds, I'll happily tell you what the consequences of laying that card will be. Chris is currently playing yellows within this first frame. It is a best of 5, a race to 3, and Chris, no doubt, is still the massive favourite, although Brad has those 6 advantages to play at any point. But will he be wise? Will he be wily? Will it be a canny character when it comes to playing them at the right time? Time will tell, and let's get to the action as this game unfolds. There is money on the line, I'm sure, but more importantly than that, it's to become king of PowerBall. Chris is currently our only champion so far. Can Brad be the one to take that reign off him? Let's find out. Brad is potting the red ones. He was looking to develop that ball, but it probably hasn't quite gone where he wanted it to. But he's still on this one to the top right-hand pocket. I'm not sure if he tried to pot it. If he did, that's embarrassing. But he has left it near the hole, causing Chris a slight problem going forward. Although that top yellow does look like it goes, as Chris just had a quick glance at it just to ensure he can move that red to pot his other yellow, which is near that top right-hand pocket. Chris didn't hit that as full as he wanted to, sending that yellow halfway up the left-hand rail, which will make things a bit trickier than they needed to. He needed to hit that full ball and keep that yellow in the hole to make his life as easy as possible. Playing the cross double here, getting on that tricky ball, that's a really good shot. But at any moment now, Brad could play one of these power cards if he sees fit. He's forever in the frame. Chris could pot all his balls and Brad could play a power card. Chris needs to be looking over his shoulder at all times when playing this game, which is always a good thing to do when Brad is about anyway. Here he finds himself in a slight problematic situation because that yellow does not pass a red that Brad earlier missed into that top right-hand pocket. He is having a go. He's looking. He's to-ing and throwing. What can he come up with here? As I said, Brad is in the driving seat in this frame because he can play the power card at any point. He's wiping the sweat off him. He seems nervous. Will he be able to deal with the pressure of the PowerBall game? Only time will tell. Let's stay tuned. Why is he playing a power card? Oh, he's played the colour switch, which gives himself 2 yellows towards that top right-hand pocket and the 8 ball to go. Maybe that wasn't the worst play of the power card, but this is all about position, and Brad is not known for position. He has potted that first one, and he's given himself a chance. This would be against the odds if he could take this out and get an early 1-0 lead. But that was never going to happen. Brad lacks ability. He is our most improved player. Brad featured in some of our biggest videos on Only Frames last season for the Ramsgate Rail Pool League Invitational. Brad is involved in a controversial moment or two throughout that season as well. A video featuring him named cheaters on our channel caused mass controversy. If you haven't seen it yet, I advise you go and see it. The guy is a cheater. Push shots galore, and he's already played a power card, but he hasn't managed to win the frame. So he's having another go, and he's making Chris play one-handed. This isn't the easiest, because Chris wanted to take that ball on the right-hand side. He may actually change which ball he's going to go for. Playing one-handed isn't too bad if you can get it on the side of the table. Because he's having to go so far, this makes it a lot harder than it should be. And he misses that pot, which he wouldn't normally do, but he gets second prize. He gets the snooker, and he's given himself a chance of getting a shot and a visit off Brad, which will no doubt seal the frame for Chris if he is to get back to the table. Brad now looking at the angles. This looks like it's going to be nowhere near if he's lining this out how I think he is. And he's hit the 8 ball. That's absolutely embarrassing. That was a 1 cushion escape, and that will be disappointing for Brad. But more disappointing than that will be the 2 power cards he has used to still lose the frame and be taking a 1-0 deficit into that second frame. This is only a best of 5. You can't give Chris an inch. He will take it. Brad only has an inch to give, And so far, he has been super kind to Chris, who's about to take a 1-0 lead. That's a really good positional shot, which Chris isn't renowned for. Black to the middle. It's 1-0 and 2 power cards played. That's shocking from Brad, but nothing as shocking as that break. This guy is an absolute brat. That break was absolutely abysmal and could feature in our worst shots of the month videos, which are available on our TikTok and our Instagram, as well as our YouTube shorts, where we ask you to get involved and vote for your worst shots of the month. We also do a best shots of the month, which isn't nearly as good as our worst shots. And Chris all of a sudden is looking to take a 2-0 lead. Chris is the producer of Only Frames. This guy has a real eye for detail, and if he isn't happy, he will touch it up for hours. A new age Harvey Weinstein, if you will, as this guy is happy to touch up anything for the success that he requires. And speaking of successes, he is trying to make this second frame as successful as the first one, as he is already cleared 3 of those 7 balls that stood between him and the 8 ball. Now he's looking to take this yellow to the top right hand pocket, which he nicely does. And once again, he's played another positional shot. Who is this guy? With the real Chris, please stand up. I can't believe what I'm seeing so far today, but once again, he is going to have to play another positional shot. And 2 in a game, that just isn't going to happen. And he has shown his true colours, and he has snookered himself, which won't be ideal. And Brad will be licking his lips to get to the table now. But he will be being careful to not try and get any of Chris's milk around his chops, as Brad is lactose intolerant. Just knowing he lives inside the Milky Way makes him absolutely shat himself. But Chris has done well to get out of that snooker, but he has left Brad on a red to the bottom right hand pocket, which I'm sure he will dispatch. Or will he continue in the vein he has started? But that's a really good pot from Brad, who didn't start playing pool until we started the Ramsgate Rail Pool League. And he is our most improved player, without a doubt. But let's face it, nobody wants to win that trophy, as Brad gets under the table to pass someone's ball back to them. This guy is an absolute clown, and we love him. He's a great character, but a shame he isn't as good a pool player as he is character. But that one was nicely potted, although he isn't on anything else. After a quick think about it, which took about 4 minutes, he's deciding to do, I don't know what he's trying to do, maybe pot that one to the middle. I'm not too sure. He is down on it, and he manages to chip that in. That's a really good shot from Brad. I didn't think that ball went. He has done really well, and he is capable of the unthinkable when he puts his mind to it, because he doesn't play the game like the rest of us. He doesn't have the limitations that we see on the pool table. Can he pot this one to the top right hand pocket though? He's down on it, he's waiting, he's got a slow cue action, but that's a nice pot again. He has come on leaps and bounds, this fella. And now all of a sudden, this is a real chance to try and win this frame and bring back the scores to 1-1, which would be against the odds, as Phil Collins once said. But this has not been another day in paradise for Brad, who is quickly realising you can't hurry the love of trying to win a frame of 8-ball pool. And once again, he is using the power card in a precarious position that I personally wouldn't use it. He's using the mulligan, which allows him to retake the shot. But that to me seemed like he could attempt it 10 times and he wouldn't have been able to pot it. That was too tricky a pot, and he is not capable of that. And the foundations that he had built, the platform that he was trying to set himself upon, has now crumbled in and around him. The bricks weren't laid heavy enough, and unlike bricks, Brad never gets laid, and he is about to find himself facing a 2-0 deficit in this race to 5 as Chris sinks the 8-ball to the bottom left, and on to the third frame we go, with Chris breaking them off. Unfortunately for Chris, he was unable to sink one, bringing Brad back to the table with all 15 balls still remaining on it. Brad so far today has played like an absolute donkey. What is the difference between a donkey and an ass, I hear you ask? Well, that's quite simple. Brad wasn't eating out a donkey last night, although he is an easy lover. Back to the Phil Collins gags as Brad decides which of these 2 colours he would prefer to go for. I'm not sure it matters, as no doubt once he takes one on, he'll probably miss it anyway, as this guy certainly isn't performing under the lights of the camera today. But let's hope he can start to turn this around and at least give us some entertainment and dethrone Chris. That would be absolutely great, as Chris is currently undefeated in this Powerball challenge, and Brad does finally pot one. He proper lunged that out. He was like Scott Whitaker, the slowest player on Only Frames, who is a bore to watch. If you've ever seen any of Scott's games, you will understand exactly what I am saying. He's the kind of fella who eats pizza with a knife and fork, the kind of person who claps when the plane lands, and we all know how irritating they are. But Brad's visit is over, bringing Chris back to the table, who's playing the yellow balls. Brad still does have 3 of his power cards remaining though. The reverse mulligan, which is making Chris retake a shot. A left-handed shot, which Chris is predominantly right-handed, so will prove problematic. And a no-look shot, where Chris can't look whilst trying to pot the ball. At any moment, Brad could do with using these, as Chris looks like he might be taking on this clearance. And if he was to do so, it would be over for Brad. Good night, curtains, goodbye. So Brad needs to start thinking about playing one of these cards at any moment now. Only 4 yellows between Chris and the 8 ball, and Brad still remains holding on to those cards. Chris has left a tricky shot here though. He has only left himself on a double. Maybe the reverse mulligan? No, because he didn't make it, so there's no need. Maybe I was wrong to fret for Brad, but he has got himself back to the table, whether that is by luck or by good judgment. That's a good pot, which he manages to take the cue ball up the table and get in amongst those 4 reds up the top end. Can he really seize this chance though, and really look to nail down the opportunity that has presented itself? Coming all the way around the table to take this one to the top left-hand pocket, which he duly dispatches. But is he on the other reds? Does he have an angle to try and take the middle red and knock the top one just slightly out so he can take it up to the top left, which he has managed to do? Does it go up there? I'm not convinced it does, but he's down on it quickly, meaning it must do. This now is a real chance, but this next ball isn't easy. Will we try and cut this to the middle? I don't think it goes down the bottom right. Brad is pointed to where he wanted to leave the white, which was nowhere near where he has ended up. He might be looking at the plant, which he takes on. Not a bad attempt, but he can't send it home to the bottom right, bringing Chris back with 3 of the easiest yellows he will ever have in his life. Brad, you need to use a power card if you want to stay in this match. I can't see the reverse mulligan being of much use, as all these 3 yellows are there, but that is not a good positional shot from Chris, who's made this clearance attempt a lot harder than it needed to be, while seeking out the 3-0 whitewash victory. What will he do here? We remain playing 8-ball rules, so he still needs to hit a cushion, which he has done so, but he can't find a pot. The only thing that does change within these matches are the power cards themselves. It's still the same rules, and it's still best of 5 as Brad takes that one down to the bottom right hand pocket, but this won't be an easy chip into that bottom left hand bag, and getting on the 8 ball will be even harder. Brad remains content on not using those power cards at any point, but if Chris gets back to the table, which he will do now, he is going to have to use them. Otherwise, it is all over. Left-handed, no look. Brad, do something. Use your card, man. Do not use your reverse mulligan. That is absolutely pointless. No, he has gone for the no look. I was going to say there was no point making Chris take that again, because he would never miss it. And to be fair, even playing this as a no look, I don't think Chris will miss a pot. But will he be able to get onto the 8 ball? He can, but it's not straightforward. Make him play it left-handed. Make him play it left-handed, which he has done so. He slams that on. He's fuming with himself that he hasn't used his power cards early, but even left-handed, I fancy Chris to pot this. It's going towards the middle. Where's the cue ball? The 8 ball has gone in. The cue ball has stayed up. It is 3-0 to Chris, and he remains the king of Powerball. Brad was awful.